So I mean, what does it feel like to revisit this film after 30 years? I mean, it's grown into quite the cult classic.
Yes, it is a question of revisiting it. I mean, it's been 30-something years, and I do remember things about it, and with the lady here that we worked together from that time. Yeah.
Oh, it's wonderful because, you know, every time something new comes out like Blu-ray, it's a whole new life for our movie, and I get to see John again. I mean, we see each other at shows. We were together in Germany at the biggest show there, so it's wonderful to see. I mean, John, he and I are very close since that movie, and I'm just so happy to see him again.
Can you talk about like your initial reactions when you first kind of got a hold of the script? I mean, what was your first kind of like just initial thought like when you first got a hold of this?
I think I thought it was kind of amusing and funny, you know, and that's actually one of the scenes that I played in the film. I would sort of be somebody who had lost his arm and then it was putting it back in place. I'd like to see it again because I have a vague, faint memory of it, you know.
Well, for me, it was wonderful. It was my first major movie when I came to the United States from Europe.
Yeah.
And I loved it because it was basically what we did was a remake of Akira Kurosawa's The Magnificent Samurai. Yeah, the Magnificent Samurai. So doing that version in outer space, I basically was playing like the Horst Buchholz character in another version of Kurosawa's movie, and being the only woman going along with the good guys to fight this major bad guy.
That was the bad guy, yeah.
Oh, he was such a wonderful bad guy. I loved it because I've always been a tomboy, so I loved that role when I read it.
Can you talk a bit about like the production when you guys were actually shooting this? Was it a very quick shoot? Was it kind of can you talk about the vibe on the set, like when you guys are actually in production?
Well, I think I worked only 3 days, if memory serves me. So it was brief and fun, and I remember seeing it in Westwood, and nearby where I live, and you know, it was something going on there. It was good. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Well, it was a Corman movie, so we weren't doing a Warner Brothers movie. So I had mushrooms growing in my dressing room on the wall, you know. That was Corman's studio at the time, but God bless him, he started a lot of wonderful, very big stars today, like James Cameron, who made our spaceships, John and my spaceships, and so we're very thankful for that, and everybody had a great spirit because that movie looked very good for what it was, and it's a cult classic and still today.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, you know, after 30 years plus, whatever it may be, people are still watching it, so that's important. It's good.
It's always cool to see movies like this that kind of, it might take a while to find its audience, but eventually it does, and now especially with this new Blu-ray release, I mean, you have a whole new generation that can finally get to enjoy this.
Yeah. That's
Absolutely.
what I got a couple of copies here that I'm going to...
This is a movie that will never go out of style. I mean, it's based on a classic, and it is a classic on its own. And John is a actor in it. And you remember his famous line that I love so much. Every time I see John, blast her out of space. Just before I commit harakiri and jam John's stellar converter of his ship.
So can you talk about just having like just the style of Roger and like how he might compare to, I know you said it was one of your first major movies, but like how does like starting out with Roger Corman as your director, how does that kind of like influence the rest of your career or like kind of affect the career?
Well, I've done a lot worse because I came from Europe where you did your makeup hanging your mirror on a tree and changing clothes behind a tree. So being in Roger Corman's studio was wonderful for me. But yes, Roger Corman has started great names in the business, and I think I was very lucky. There is such a thing as luck that I got that role because it did start my career. I mean, I toured all over for Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers distributed that movie in the foreign, and I toured and promoted it, and it did a lot of good things for my career.
So is there like a favorite, like when you look back on this now 30 years later, is there like one thing, like maybe either a scene or a memory from the set, like maybe interacting with Roger, that really will always kind of stand with you?
Something that stays in my mind from Roger?
Just like from like when you think back on the movie, is there like one thing that automatically comes to your mind? Like when you think of Battle Beyond the Stars, is there one thing that automatically kind of sticks in your head that automatically comes to mind?
Well, having a great time, because Roger is a strict producer. Jimmy Murakami directed it, but at the same time, everybody had fun on the set. And once we got into our costumes, right, John? I mean, we felt good and having fun on that, and I think that was very important because it's a family movie. It's for the entire family, so I think that shows in everyone. I know John and I, it's not easy to sometimes, put on a costume, most importantly, and take yourself serious, because if you don't take your character serious, the audience doesn't take you serious. And John and I are always true to our characters, and if you're true to them, then the audience is. But you have to have fun doing it, and that's what we did.
I think I felt the characters were tongue-in-cheek, Yeah.
Like, can you see when you think about this movie and then movies that are made today? With this, do you think this would work? It's such a great look without the CGI that we have today. It would have been such a completely different movie. Do you think it's a movie that's completely for like its time, and that but it could also be enjoyed now, but it couldn't really be made in this day and have the same kind of look and feel and kind of just the special quality about it?
Well, I'm pleased to think that it really will have a new, to some degree, a new step forward with audiences that may have never seen it. That's all. That's good enough. If you keep using something that is long ago and bring it to new people, something new happens with it. Yeah, that's good.
Well, I think this movie stands on its own as it was made. I think it looks very good for its time. And, there are sci-fi movies that were done earlier, and we look upon them fondly because they were what they were for their time. If Battle Beyond the Stars were done today by Warner Brothers with all the CGI and all the technical possibilities, it probably would become a different movie. And I think because of the intimacy that we had and the means that we had, I think that is part of the charm of that movie at that time.
What would you like to say to maybe fans who haven't quite discovered Battle Beyond the Stars yet about why they should pick up this new Blu-ray?
Oh, they should definitely. We have so many fans throughout the years. We've been signing for the movie already. So we have those fans. But for the young generation, they should pick up the Blu-ray. Everybody's gearing up for Blu-ray anyhow. They should see it because it's good for young and old. It's the entire family. It's fun. It's good entertainment. It's a wonderful sci-fi movie.
That's it. There ain't no more.